So a new trailer just leaked, kind of leaked, was officially posted, but then removed, made unlisted, and then it was made privated. It's pretty apparent that they don't want us seeing this new trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3 ReMind just quite yet. However, we've already seen it. You can't act like we haven't seen it, so we're going to talk about it. Let's dive right into it. Right off the bat, the first thing that we see is that we finally have some Final Fantasy characters back. This is so fucking cool. I usually don't like cussing in like these like basic videos, but like, oh my god. I'm very excited to have Squall, Yuffie, Aerith back at the very least. We don't know if we're going to see more of them. I can only assume that we might. The fact that they're just showing this a little bit, to me, is a good step in the right direction, that we might actually get a little bit of more Final Fantasy love, whether that's just purely story interaction, or if it's the possible inclusion of a boss of some sort. If we can get a boss, outstanding. If we don't, no worries. All the Final Fantasy people are going to be, for the most part, satisfied, because we're actually going to have some Final Fantasy rep back in Kingdom Hearts, especially in a game like Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm going to assume that one of the big reasons why we didn't have them early on in the original base game, probably because of preparing the models. Usually in these kinds of things, we see a lot of character model revisions. We've seen Sora go through many iterations, and we've seen other characters go through different iterations. Young Xehanort was a big one way back when. So I'm going to take a good assumption and say that it just took them a while to get these models fully prepped and ready for the game, and it didn't really make sense to try and rush them for the base game, and maybe they just will do better in a game like this. One of the second things that we see is an explorable Scala at Caelum. This is super cool because we barely got to do anything in Scala. We kind of did like one fight in the actual main big courtyard area, and then everything else was kind of either in that same area or in a subset of Scala that we didn't get to explore it or see much of it. It's all just kind of fast-paced fights, non-stop combat, and you don't really get to actually walk around the area much. The only real walkable space is the starting dock. So now being able to fully explore Scala at Caelum, or at least explore it more, I think is a really fun addition. It's going to be really enjoyable. We had it confirmed in this one that we're finally going to be able to play as Kairi. This is something that I've been asking for a long time, but I hoped that its inclusion would also kind of bring forth a reason to enjoy Kairi a bit more. Currently, her place in the plot is just very accessory-like. I understand there's a lot of people who love Kairi, and I get it. She's a fun character, but I feel like she lacks a lot of her own personality, and she lacks the ability to stand on her own. When she was announced that she was going to be training to become a Keyblade wielder, I thought it was the perfect opportunity to let her be more of a character and let her be her own thing and provide her own strength, and then use that strength to provide to the other characters of the cast that need that help where she could bring it to them, such as Riku and Sora. So I'm glad that she's playable. I just hope that maybe there's a little bit more story to her to make her a little more enjoyable as her own powerhouse. We know that we're getting a new battle sequence where all the Guardians of Light are going to be fighting the 13 Xehanort vessels that we fight in Scala at Caelum as Sora. Interestingly enough, we do see a couple different commands that look pretty interesting. We do see Reflega, which is really cool because we haven't seen that skill in the game ever. So I don't know how that's going to work out, but the boss fight looks kind of interesting. It looks like it's going to be a flopping mess, but it looks like it'll be interesting. Like, as in, you know, you can smash some buttons and have a grand old time. But that's kind of it. I'm not really expecting a whole lot as far as, like, combat intricacy or interesting and fun difficulty. I just think it's going to be kind of a slap the boss, press a bunch of X buttons. I mean, literally, we are only being given pretty much the X button for the combat in this sequence. My hopes aren't too high for this. I'm setting my expectations pretty low on this one in specific. If it feels great and it's a lot of fun, even better. But I'm not really expecting much. We were shown a couple more of the boss battles that we can expect, Organization 13 battles. I'm so freaking excited. We're finally fighting Xemnas again. We're fighting Ansem, Seeker of Darkness again. We already know that we're going to be able to fight Vanitas and Xigbar. So I think it's safe to assume that we're going to be able to fight all 13 Darknesses individually. We also saw Larxene in this trailer. I don't think I'm missing anything else from that point. And then we also see a different version of Dark Inferno, maybe. I'm not quite sure what this is going to be. Maybe it's a souped-up version of Dark Inferno, or maybe it's a story-driven version of Dark Inferno. Either or, I don't mind a more difficult Dark Inferno. Maybe he's got like a wider skill set. He's got maybe extra phases, or he's got more intricacies to him, like extra resistances to specific magics to kind of make fighting him a little more dynamic. I'm okay for either or. A story-based Dark Inferno will be really cool. Just a super boss version of Dark Inferno, sure, why not? As long as it's just as interesting as the current Dark Inferno or even more intricate, I'm okay with it. Again, for Dark Inferno specifically, my expectations are kind of low. I'm really holding out for these Organization 13 battles. Now, as far as story content goes, it does look like we're getting a bit of a follow-up to the end of the game as it left us. It looks like Riku's going to be traveling to Radiant Garden to find Sora, and it looks like that Sora and Aqua are going to be fighting off against some Dark Aquas. It's not entirely clear on exactly what's going on, but this seems to be like a story plot. Demyx is going to be contacting Riku in the Keyblade Graveyard. That's going to be pretty interesting, because Demyx didn't really have much of a place in the story in the base game. It'll be really interesting to see what's planned for him, especially considering some of the mobile game content that's come out to talk about who Demyx is and where he's come from. There's a couple of other story elements that are pretty interesting. It looks like that Sora is doing something with Riku's Dive to Heart. That's going to be pretty weird. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea. It's a super big mystery to me, and I'm not really prepared to throw any theories together. Sora and Kairi are seen together in the final world. I can only assume this is going to kind of help us lead into what's fully set in stone at the end of the game, where they have a last moment together, and then that's going to kind of be it. A follow-up to once, I assume, Kairi leaves Final World to go back to the Land of the Living, and Sora stays there. Sora apparently is going to run into Yozora in a darker version of Final World. It's not quite clear what exactly is going on here, but this is pretty much all we know about the DLC. It's not 100% confirmed that we're getting any balance changes or major patches to the base game, aside from the Keyblades that are going to be coming out for free with the base game when the DLC comes out, but that's pretty much all we know at this point. If you could put any new boss fight into Kingdom Hearts 3 ReMind, what boss fight would you choose and why? Personally, I'd love to have a rematch as the Lingering Will versus Terra Nord. I think that'd be sick as hell. But I want to hear what you guys think. What do you guys want to add to the game? I know I'm going to get 15,000 Sephiroth, so go ahead, just start typing Sephiroth. As always, I'll see you guys next time.